Sure, abuti honestly.
Ke motho o sokolang. Artists die. They are represented by Ccifsa. Why can't Ccifsa pay for the funeral of artists? They're getting millions, millions and millions and millions. They steal from artists. Ccifsa is a criminal organization that I have the bank statements of how many millions they got, but the artists are still poor. Why did you get all these millions? This time you have a minister. If you say I'm lying, watch my Twitter tomorrow. I will bring out the bank statements of how much you were paid from doing all these years. You said the government did nothing for you. I am not these comrades that are getting accused for nothing. You got millions, millions and millions and millions. Where's that money? What have you done with that money? During COVID, you said the government did nothing for you. I brought out a list. People were calling me, Minister, I never got a cent, but we paid the money. I am making a call to artists. Stop being represented by every Tom, Dick and Jabulani. Know your business. Understand your business.
All right, so those were the utterances made by the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, against Ccifsa, which those utterances had been made at the funeral of music veteran Winnie Khumalo. And we're joined now, of course, by Lusuko Kohli, who is with Ccifsa. Mr. Kohli, thank you very much indeed for your time. So you're a criminal organization, according to the minister, and basically judging from your statement that you released, you say the minister's utterances or accusations are unfounded.
Yes, greetings to you, Ccifsa, and your viewers. I think I need to put into...
Well, guys, that was what the minister had just said, right? Accusing the Ccifsa on being a criminal organization. But I would want us to listen to what this guy has got to say in defending themselves. Because a lot of these organizations, they get a lot of money, but they'd rather have them in their pockets. They do not have the spirit of humanity, where you work on helping people who have contributed a lot to you. But here this guy is going to try and defend himself. So let's give him a chance and hear what he's got to say.
Perspective, two things that are mentioned by the minister. And for me to clear that, I would want to give you a short background. Ccifsa was established in 2015. Before that, there was an interim committee that was allocated the budget to take Ccifsa to conference. And from there is a leadership that was elected in 2015. That leadership was allocated budget. We came into office 2019. And I can tell you now, Ccifsa, from where we are sitting, the maximum amount we have received from the department in a financial year is 5 million. And that 5 million was clearly indicated to us as an operational budget. And in that operational budget, you would know that in a memorandum of agreement with a department, you would have items in terms of what that budget is supposed to be used for. And we are happy to say in this platform that we have reported for every cent that we have received from 2019 till the last transaction that we may have received from the department. We have not only reported to the department, but we have also reported to the portfolio committee, and we have responded to any other follow-up questions that may have come from the portfolio committee. So for us to be hearing on TV, having not been engaged by the minister, that we are a criminal organization was a huge surprise to us. It's a huge surprise to us because we have never had an issue with the minister. The minister invited us in Cape Town to a meeting. We attended the meeting. We shared our input. The minister invited us to a board garage. But the minister has never sat down with us and said, guys, I have a problem with you. You are not reporting. We heard in one of the clips that we are not reporting and all that. We have never accounted for the money. And it's a real concern to us. And we are saying to the minister, it would have been much better if the minister had called the organization and say, I heard this or I saw this, and how do you respond to it before using the platform, the public platform?
But then, okay, I'm not picking sides because somehow what he's saying might be making sense. If indeed what he's saying is honest and is true, because if you are going to say something is for operational use, what does that mean? It means it's for the day-to-day running of the things that are needed, and most probably maybe even salaries of the people, and which won't be much, because to pay for funerals, if you're going to pay for one person's funeral, you are then going to have to now pay for a number of funerals, because people will then start to have expectations, especially once they're struggling, because even as much as they should be helping, but these artists have made a lot of songs, and many times when they make a lot of these songs, they make millions in a short period of time, but they misuse because they want to live, like the minister would say, they would want to have Gucci's and be on Instagram and so forth, right? Being seen for having a lavish lifestyle. You check. But when you look at what the ministers say, I don't know him to be somebody who makes things up. So I would also like for him to have a follow-up like he usually does, whether it's a press conference or whatever, where he will come in, or a statement on Twitter or Facebook, where he will then have a follow-up where he would then explain further why he said this and give us the actual statements and things that they failed to do, because one should be lying or changing the actual, or playing around with the actual truth, not portraying it as it actually is. You check. So yeah, let's just continue a little bit before we conclude.
So that is what that's the number one issue that we want to rectify. The second issue that we want to rectify is the fact that the minister says we must contribute to funerals. I can tell you now, Ccifsa is getting 5 million for operations. You go to counterparts, sports, for instance. Sport gets plus minus, SASCO plus minus more than 80 million. But they've never buried one person with their budget. So we are expected, with the little that we get for operations, to bury artists. And also the minister knows very well that if you are given a budget, you must also make sure that you follow the agreement that you have. You can't deviate from that budget and do anything as you please. So we cannot really understand where that point is coming from.
All right, Mr. Kotli, thank you very much for clarifying some of these aspects. But where does the issue of the 12 million rand come into? The accusation is that some 12 million rand was given to Ccifsa to assist struggling artists, and from what I also understand is that even at some point, the minister was calling for an investigation into your organization. I'll come to that just a little bit later. Where does the 12 million come from then?
You see, it's also funny because once he starts talking, he talked about 5 million, which I would take as yearly since 2019, right? Then the 12 million probably coming from when? Coming from the time of the COVID-19, which I think he will have to explain here because he's not mentioning it. But now the reporter has to now mention that where does the 12 million come in, because it's also not mentioning it. So try to also steer him into the direction where you want him to bind himself, because right now he might be unprepared. It's now beginning to answer questions and then try to accuse the minister of making things up. You want to accuse Gaten Mckenzie of making things up. You must know your story, Baba. You muni baiza iso. Diamond baiza ni.
Relating to what was supposedly given to your organization.
Okay, I have no idea, this one, and that's the honest truth.
So you were not given 12 million?
We don't know the 12 million. The only thing that we can explain is that on our first year of office, we're only given 2.5 million. There's a year that we didn't get any operational budget. In our following year, we got 2.5 million, and that 2.5 million was specifically for the policy conference, of which me and you know that an organization of that caliber cannot have a conference with that kind of budget. We had to organize more resources to make sure that that conference fits with the budget that we were given. And we were later given another transaction and another transaction. But what we are saying, all those transactions were clearly stipulated that it's for operational budget, and we have used that for such. We have never been given money by government to give to artists. We have never been given money by government to run programs. And that is in the MOA that we have with the department.
But it certainly seems that there have been some concerns that have been raised. I've also seen a report relating to a special investigating unit, a probe into your organization for alleged mismanagement of millions. Are you aware of that?
Personally, I was aware of that a couple of months before the minister even spoke about it. When one of the colleagues in the industry called me and told me, we are pushing the minister to investigate Ccifsa. Do you have any issues? Because we wouldn't want you to be implicated and whatnot. And I said to him, listen, if the organization needs to be investigated and it's for the good reasons of the creative, let it be done. You can't say you are separating this from this and whatnot.
But is the special investigating unit probing your organization at the moment?
We are not sure, but I got an SMS, I think 2 weeks back, to say the minister is starting with the process of investigation. We got the news from the portfolio committee that the organization will be investigated.
I will end it there. If you want to go listen to the full interview, you go to SABC. But I like that if indeed they are a criminal organization, SIU will definitely come up with proof. They can never escape it. I'm sorry, they can never escape it. If indeed they were doing some misconduct, the coppers will dance. Because hey, Baizani, at the end of the day, when you're a criminal investigation unit, you have to be investigated. You cannot use the private people's money and then think you're going to get away with it. Well, let's wait and see, because this one is going to be a very interesting one, especially that he's denying it and he's even saying he does not know of that kind of a money. So until we meet again, we'll definitely do a follow-up video on this one. Danko, salute.